The Islanders make Mathew Barzal a healthy scratch after he misses the team bus. We'll talk about that, its impact, and a flat performance against the Hurricanes next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Friday/Halloween episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for almost 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the Rangers from 1972 to the modern era. So glad you could join us today and talk a little Islanders hockey, and we have got so much to talk about on today's show. The Islanders fall to the Carolina Hurricanes 6-2. We'll have our key takeaways, our hero and go to the game, and more. Mathew Barzal, a healthy scratch against Carolina because he missed the team bus to the morning skate on Thursday. We'll talk about what that means for the team, and the impact could be significant. And we'll preview both of this weekend's games tonight against the Washington Capitals and Sunday against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's start with the game. And, well, this was, from start to finish, I have to say, a disappointing performance for the New York Islanders. Because before the game even really got going, the Islanders were down 2-0, and midway through the first period, they are down 3-0. And you give up a shorthanded goal to a defenseman in this game, which is absolutely hard to do, okay? And I think my number one observation from this game was, if you compare, forget the shots, compare two things between the Hurricanes and the Islanders, and you see the difference between these two teams. Passing and defensive positioning. The Islanders' passing was better than it has been in many games. In fact, as per usual, the Islanders made too many passes very often in this game. But at the same time, the Carolina Hurricanes passing, that is what a quick-moving, well-coached, smart hockey team looks like. And that wasn't the New York Islanders. That was the Carolina Hurricanes. If you want to see the gap between a Carolina team that is now 7-3 and an Islanders team that has now won only 4 of their first 10 games, 4-5-1 officially, look at the passing and look at the defense and the positioning. How many quality opportunities did the Islanders give up? How many opportunities in the high danger area? Out of all of the goals that Carolina scored, the furthest one away was from a little behind the middle of the circle, like kind of in between the two circles, but a little bit behind the faceoff dot. There was another one that came from the right circle, and the other 4 goals were all in close. And it's the defensive breakdowns by the Islanders. And then when the Islanders did create chances, and everydayers, you know, we've talked about this for a long, long time. They didn't finish. Didn't finish often enough. 2 goals in this game. a pretty one by Simon Holmstrom. And the pretty part about it was this beautiful saucer pass by Tony DeAngelo. And then obviously the power play goal by Matthew Schaefer. But look, Schaefer scores the goal, but he's a -2 in this game. The duo of Pelech and Polak -4, Pelech -3. The fourth line, again, struggling. McLean, Siplikov, and Cizikas. Siplikov and McLean -2, Zeker -1. The only Islander players who were not minus in this game, Tony DeAngelo and JG Pageau and Adam Boqvist only playing 11:25. They were all even. And just, how that things were not going the Islanders' way. We mentioned they end up making Mathew Barzal a healthy scratch. And they're going to call up Cal Ritchie to make his Islanders debut. And bad weather, his plane canceled, his flight to Raleigh. He cannot make it to the game. So this afternoon, they're announcing, Cal Ritchie going to make his Islanders debut in to replace Mathew Barzal in the lineup tonight. No, even the weather gods not cooperating with the New York Islanders in this game. And what do? They end up putting Boqvist into the lineup. So they play 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, which is why, the line combinations kind of had to be mixed and matched at different times. But ultimately, this was one of those games where you fall behind 3-0 by the midway point of the first period. And the Schaefer goal gets you to 3-1. You needed the next goal. You just never got it until it was far too late. And, they steadied the ship after that first 10 minutes. But you try, here's the bottom line. Carolina, disciplined team, solid defensive team. It's hard to score 3 goals, which is what you would have needed just to get the game to overtime. And they didn't. They lose 6-2. So ultimately, this game was lost in the first 10 minutes. And unless the Islanders figure this out, that the run and gun style, the fast-moving, offensive-minded style that Patrick Waugh wants to play, it's more entertaining, but the Islanders just don't have the horses. And look, David Rittich, the first goal, I think he would want back. I don't think it was a very good goal. It was low, kind of one that he just should have had, I thought. But other than that, the other 5 goals, I don't blame David Rittich. I don't think he was particularly great in this game. I don't even think he was particularly good. But was he the reason that the Islanders, lost this game? No, because with the exception of the first goal, the other 5 were not pucks that you expect most goalies to make the save on. They just were high danger chances. And when you give up that many high danger chances to a team like Carolina, you're not going to win very often. You need your goalie to stand on his head, and Rittich most certainly did not do that. Again, he wasn't the reason they lost, but he couldn't bail them out either, and that is kind of disappointing. Hero and GOAT of the game. This is tough. I am really kind of hesitant to say who the hero was in this game. I am going to go a little against the grain, so to speak, and I am going to go with Tony DeAngelo on the strength of that amazing saucer pass that he made, the fact that he was one of only 3 players on the team that was even in plus minus in this game. He had 3 shots on goal, blocked a shot, had 3 hits which led all Islander defensemen. I'd love to do Schaefer because he scored the goal, but defensively he was shaky in this game, got beaten on a few of the goals that were scored. It was either, beaten to the corner by Svechnikov. And again, it wasn't his best game defensively, so I couldn't quite give Schaefer the hero of the game. And then go to the game, I'm going with Barzal. Nobody on this team played particularly well. I could go Pelech Polak, I could go special teams, I could go defensive positioning. But let's be clear here. Before this game even started, this team was kind of behind the eight ball as a result of what happened with Mathew Barzal. And we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a lot about it after the next break. But I'm going to make Mathew Barzal the go to the game because he kind of ruined the team's emotional equilibrium before they even arrived in, at the rink for the game. And I think it's unfortunate that the team was unable to overcome that. We'll see where we go from here, but we've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to break down the Mathew Barzal benching, what it says, what it means, and how important it is for this team going forward. We'll preview both of this weekend's games. And for our Islanders' birthday of the day, a winger from North York, Ontario, who was with the Islanders from 2009 until 2013, 2014, and ended up playing on the first line with John Tavares. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and more next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. But that's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay. There are no hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I can get a panoramic view from my seat before I purchase the tickets, so I know exactly what to expect. And don't forget the zone deals. They're a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Mathew Barzal missed the bus heading to the morning skate this morning. And Matthew Darche, Patrick Roy basically decide that that's not acceptable. And they announced that Barzy will be a healthy scratch against Carolina. He is expected back in the lineup tonight against the Washington Capitals. And I have to say, I agree with this decision. One thing, and everydayers are well aware of this, it's been all over social media. It's been all over, basically conversations between Islander fans have talked about, quote unquote, the country club atmosphere that existed with the Islanders under Lou Lamoriello. And I've talked about it too, where there was not enough competition. Players were not held accountable enough. And seeing Matthew Darche and Patrick Roy using an example of Mathew Barzal, making an example of him. Because look, let's face it. If Mathew Barzal is held accountable for missing the bus, anybody can be. He is Barzal, Horvat, now Schaefer and Sorokin are the four biggest names on this team right now. They are, with the exception of Schaefer, they are the three highest paid guys on the team, and they have the highest profiles on the team. If you as a player who is further down in the lineup, if you see that Mathew Barzal is benched because he was late for the bus, you know you have to be on top of things. And that's important. That is something that the New York Islanders didn't have enough of in the past. And it's good to see. And look, you could go all the way back to 1973, 74, and a rookie named Denis Potvin who missed the bus. Al Arbour did the same thing to Potvin. And, you know, Denny learned. Now, the difference here is that Mathew Barzal is not 18 or 20 or 22. He's a veteran. He's in his late 20s. A, he should know better. And B, it just is not something you expect from that kind of a veteran, a guy who is supposed to be a leader on this team. To me, the disappointing thing about it is, well, two things. One, Cal Ritchie's plane didn't let him come in and play. That would have been helpful. But, you know, weather-related issues aside, the other thing that bothers me about this is how this team failed to respond. I want to see how Mathew Barzal responds tomorrow or tonight now against Washington. I want to see how he handles this. And to his credit, he's not making a scene out of it. He's not saying this is, you know, BS and I don't deserve it. No, he said, okay, I get it. I'm sitting out tonight. But ultimately, the message that is being sent is, guys, you got to be accountable. And that you need to play with urgency and you need to take notice of the details out there, whether it's showing up on time, making the right pass, being responsible for your teammates. I could go down the list of all the basic, you know, get the puck out of the zone, not up the middle, but off the boards or skate it out, you know, all the little basic hockey things. And that message was not received. This team should have been mad, or they should have felt like they had something to prove as a result of this decision to make Mathew Barzal a healthy scratch. And instead, they just came out with another flat effort. And by the time they kind of rallied and got things together, it was too late. They were down 3-0 and the game was over. Another observation. And I think this is a really fair observation, ultimately. And this one came from Arthur Staple. He said, usually when you suspend somebody, I'm paraphrasing, this is all from social media, but he said, usually when you suspend somebody or bench somebody for missing the bus or being late, it's not the first time that you do that, it's the last straw. So the question then, the bigger question becomes, what's up with Mathew Barzal? If this isn't the first time, he's got to get his things straightened up and straightened out and get back on course. And long term, look, this team is retooling. They don't want to say that. I get it. But let's face it, this team is retooling. And if they are retooling, you got to figure out who the core of your team is. And Mathew Barzal is, as of now, part of that core. But is he going forward part of the core? If he keeps showing up late, if he does not do the things he needs to do to be responsible and a leader, because at this point in time, he should be one of the veteran leaders on this team. If he doesn't do those things, he may not be part of the core going forward. So this is important. And how he responds both on the ice, starting tonight in Washington, and how he responds off the ice. Is he on time? Is he responsible? Does he do the little things that leaders are supposed to do on a hockey team? This could be a crossroads for Mathew Barzal. And I was surprised that this happened, but now, it's not the end of the world in and of itself. Things happen. People oversleep, people miss, people get a phone call, whatever the excuse is. You could make the general statement, everybody makes mistakes once in a while. But how does he respond on and off the ice? That's what I want to see. And if he doesn't respond properly, how does Matthew Darche respond? And it's not just Barzy. Yes, it is. How does Mathew Barzal respond? But how does the rest of the team respond? Because if you're making an example of a player, and the rest of the team doesn't respond either, you're wasting your time. This organization has had a reputation, rightfully or wrongfully, of the players being a little too comfortable. And I think Matthew Darche and Patrick Waugh are trying to change that perception. Now let's see if they can do it. A lot of things need to change to get this team from where they are to where they want to be. Matthew Darche talked about a perennial contender. They are probably a couple of years away and a half a dozen at least players away from being able to get toward that point. But if you don't have the discipline, if you don't have the leaders of this team doing things the right way to set an example for the kids, Matthew Schaefer is looking to Mathew Barzal and other veterans on this team to learn how to be a professional. Barzy has to be a professional, show up on time, do the right thing, and we go from there. If he doesn't, we've got other issues to deal with going forward. All right, we have got more to get to on today's show. We'll preview tonight's game against the Caps. We'll preview Sunday's game against the Blue Jackets, and we'll have our Islanders birthday of the day. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, place that first $5 bet, and if it wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. Check it out at FanDuel.com today. Islanders, Capitals, tonight in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., for those of you who are here in the States. And, well, this is another important game. The Capitals going to be well rested. They have not played since Tuesday when they lost 1-0 to the Dallas Stars. But right now for the season, the Capitals are 6-4. And Logan Thompson, who has started 7 of the 10 games, he has been playing lights out. He is 5-2, a 1.44 goals against average, a 9.39 save percentage. If you prefer to face Charlie Lindgren, and the Capitals do have a back-to-back Saturday, so one of them is going to play Friday against the Islanders, and one of them is going to play Saturday against the Sabres, as far as the goalies are concerned. Offensively, this is a division opponent. We know this team pretty well. They are struggling to score right now, 27th in the league in goals scored, but number 1 in goals against going into Thursday's action. The power play 20th, the penalty kill 27th, so they're struggling with the extra attacker and with when they're shorthanded. The line combinations, Connor McMichael, Alex Ovechkin, and Ryan Leonard are the top line. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Alexei Protas, and Tom Wilson are the second line. Hendrix Lapierre, Anthony Beauvillier, the former Islander, and Justin Sourdif are the third line. And then from left to right on the fourth line, Sonny Milano, Nick Dowd, and Brandon Duhaime. On the blue line, Martin Verhervey and John Carlson are the top pairing. Jacob Chychrun and Matt Roy are the second pairing. Declan Chisholm and Trevor Van Riemsdyk are the third pair. And then you have Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. Dylan Strome out of the lineup right now. We'll see if he's able to come back. Same with Rasmus Sandin, Ethan Frank on ER. That game, by the way, a 7 o'clock Eastern time start Friday in Washington, D.C. Then on Sunday, it will be the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, the Islanders will have an advantage because the Blue Jackets are playing against St. Louis Saturday. So Columbus will be on a back-to-back. The Islanders will have 1 day in between games to rest up. Columbus 6-4 as of right now, heading into their game against the Blues on Saturday. And for Columbus, they're 12th in the league in goals scored, 17th in goals against. Their special teams also struggling. The power play 23rd in the league. The penalty kill 29th. Elvis Merzlikins and Jet Greaves have been splitting the goaltending, each of them starting 5 games so far, but it's been Elvis who has been playing, at least they're winning more with Elvis. He's 4-1, Greaves 2-3. The Islanders have seen Jet Greaves several times, and it's been a rough ride. He's been very good against them. Dmitry Voronkov and Kirill Marchenko, both with 5 goals and 10 points. Charlie Coyle, recently acquired during the offseason, has 8 points, 7 of those assists, and Zach Werenski, always dangerous. The line combinations for the Blue Jackets, Sean Monahan, Voronkov, and Marchenko are the top line. Adam Fantilli, the young talented center, with Boone Jenner and Kent Johnson on the third line. Charlie Coyle, Cole Sillinger, and Matthew Olivier are a good third line. And then you have Isaac Lundstrom, Miles Wood, and Igor Chinakhov on the fourth line. Zach Werenski with Denton Matachuk on the top pair. Ivan Provorov and Damon Severson are the second pair. Dante Fabreau and Jake Christensen, the third defensive unit. And then, as we said, Elvis and Jet are the goalies. Eric Gabranson is on, he's out. He's not on IR right now. Time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And Saturday will be the 42nd birthday of former Islanders winger Matt Moulson. He was drafted in the 9th round by the Penguins in 2003, spent 4 years at Cornell, made his NHL debut in 07-08 with the Kings, but became a full-time NHLer with the Isles in 2009, 2010, put together 3 straight 30-goal seasons, 30, 31, and 36. So some pretty impressive years there for Moulson, playing on a line mostly with John Tavares and Kyle Oposo. Got traded to Buffalo midway through the 2013-2014 season. Also played for Minnesota. Got traded to Minnesota, then played for Buffalo, and finished his career in the minors after the 2021-2022 season. Moulson played in 650 career NHL games, had 176 goals, 369 points, and 122 penalty minutes. He played in 16 career playoff games, 6 of those with the Islanders. He had 3 goals and 6 points, 2 goals and 1 assist coming with the Isles in 2012. 2013. One of his better games as an Islander. How about December 3rd, 2011? Islanders visiting Dallas to take on the Stars. Rick DiPietro is the Islanders starter. Andrew Raycroft in goal for Dallas. And our Islanders' birthday today, Matt Molson gets things started on the power play. He scores his 10th. John Tavares, Mark Streit with the assist. Then Molson scores again a minute 59 later. Tavares and P.A. Parenteau helping on that one. And it's 2-0 Islanders after one. In the second period, though, the game is tied 3-3. Matt Molson strikes again, his 12th of the year. Tavares and Parenteau with the assist. Dallas ties it on a goal by Tom Wandel. But with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the second, Matt Molson gets his 13th goal of the season and his 4th goal of the game. The only assist on this one to P.A. Parenteau. Molson, 4 goals. He's a +2. He had 7 shots on goal. No Islanders player had more than 4 besides him. And he did score the game winner in 18 minutes and 18 seconds worth of ice time. Matt Molson is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You could find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. If you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. We do have some mailbag questions, but with all this Mathew Barzal news, we did have to move it up to either Monday or Tuesday, so still time to get some of those questions in. Everydayers, we are back on Monday. We'll have our key takeaways from both of this weekend's games, the latest injury updates. We'll talk about, hopefully, Cal Ritchie's Islanders debut and, where Ritchie may fit into the lineup. Lots to discuss here. Until then, happy Halloween. Have a great weekend, everybody. And, of course, let's go Islanders.